Hey, welcome back to the shop. So, I'm about to start a completely new series on a guitar that I got. This is a Paul Reed Smith. My understanding is it's a factory cast-off. So, it is a mahogany body, mahogany neck, maple fingerboard. As you can see, it's largely complete. Here's the problem with it. You can see that chunk of the headstock is missing. Right there on the end. This piece right here. It's chipped out. And I think what must have happened was this got almost all done and then got knocked off of a table or something and hit the end of this headstock. There's a little bit of a dent here you can see if you look real closely, and it chipped the mahogany headstock. The neck is a three-piece glue up, but it looks to me like the body is one solid piece. If you look on the grain around the edge, I can't see any variance on the grain. It looks to me like that goes right straight through and that there's no glue up. There's a little bit, looks like there's a line like right here, but again I look at it and I go, no, I don't think so. I think that's just the way the grain runs. Anyhow, but it should be a really nice instrument. So obviously I got no hardware. I got no there's no electronics in it. There's no trim in it. There's no pickups. There's no tuning keys. There's no nut. So I have to fabricate a nut, buy tuning pegs. I have to fix this headstock problem, and buy all the electronics for it. Now I've done a little bit of this already. So here's what I've currently bought. I bought a pair of pickups. I bought a set of Seymour Duncan Vintage Blues. Now, it's traditionally not what you would put in this guitar, but it's what I could afford, and it looks like it'll sound like a really great guitar. These were, you can see it says demo. This was like an open box set, but they're guaranteed to be good. So they were $30 cheaper, I think, than unset. When I got the guitar, this came from a friend who got it from a friend who reportedly got it from the factory. I don't know, that's the story. As far as I know, I got nothing. It did come with a bridge. So this is an old style bridge. It says Milcom on it. This is now called John Mann's Guitar Vault. Still sells these and parts for them. So there was a couple of screws missing right here on one of the strings. One of the set screws was missing. One of the intonation adjustment screws was missing. And I think there was a spring missing. So I was able to buy a screw kit for this, and I was able to buy the trem arm, which it didn't have. Also, I bought a kit of the mounting screws. So I get that to you without any reflection on it. The mounting screws are kind of weird. They have a neck that right underneath of the screw head. It has like a groove that's been cut around it. That these holes in the bridge, right, this row of holes right here, that row of holes rides on. So you got to put those in there at exactly straight line, exactly the right spacing, and you've got to set them at exactly the right height so that the bridge operates properly. So I did also get with the guitar, this is the springs, the screws. Here's one of the springs. That spring has a straight end and a round end. The straight end goes into the bottom of the bridge. The round end hooks around a claw that screws into the guitar, and I have the claw. Now, this claw had, at one point in time, a wire soldered to it right here in the middle for a ground wire. That's been removed, so I don't know whether this was installed and uninstalled or whether this was just primed or whatever, but I do have the claw, and I have the screws to mount it, and I have the springs, so that's ready to go. I do have both of the back plates for the guitar. So this one goes underneath where the bridge is, and this is the control cavity. I bought a couple of nuts, blanks, and the ones that I ended up getting were not quite tall enough for this fingerboard. This is a really thick fingerboard, maple fingerboard on this guitar. So the nut will need to be, obviously, I got to cut the grooves in it, and the nut will need to be, it goes on this way. It's already partially formed, and it's the right width, but it's going to be a little bit too low. So I'll have to put a piece of mahogany underneath where this nut goes, right here, and then glue the nut in on top of that. That'll work fine. And I'll need an access cover. But all of that woodworking is kind of minor, and little things like that are no big deal. The biggest piece of woodworking I have to do is two things I have to do, and one that I might do. I have to fix this chip in the headstock, right? I gotta fix this. The second thing is that if you notice, the cavity here for the pickup, for the neck, is narrower than the cavity for the bridge. So I will need to cut out a little bit here where these corners are. I'll need to cut that back a little bit to fit the pickup in here. I don't know what pickups were originally supposed to come with this, but I've not ever seen a set of pickups that was narrow enough to go in there, unless it was originally a single coil, but that doesn't seem to make sense. All the Paul Reed Smith guitars I've ever seen pictures of have double coils in both places. So I'm going to put a double coil in here and a double coil in here. This set comes with a neck and a bridge pickup, but they're the same size. So I'm going to have to do something with that. So that's the biggest, but that'll be hidden, right? I do have a set of plastic covers for the pickups. I might remake these in wood. I have these plastic ones as backup if I decide I don't want to do in wood or whatever. I can do it. I have a piece of mahogany. I have plenty of pieces of mahogany floating around that are big enough to do this. Somebody gave me like 200 square feet of tongue and groove mahogany flooring. So this is a piece of that flooring, and as you can see, that would fit, just fine in that little piece. And it's thick enough for 4 of these. I don't need to cut 2, so I could probably, cut them out, cut this in half, and then make a mahogany that would have a cutout that would exactly fit the pickups. These actually, let's pull one of the pickups out here. So these fit in kind of a traditional way, but there's a fair gap in between the pickup and the thing. It doesn't fit real snug. So I could make something that fit a little better if I decided I wanted to. Or I could just use the plastic ones. They need to do a little cleanup, a little polish, but that'd be fine. The one other thing that I thought to do that would be a little bit fancy, let's look at this back cavity. So this plastic is actually a little bit below the level of wood. And one of the things that I got when I bought the house that I'm in now, my uncle did some woodworking and was getting into some extra stuff, and he had an entire stack, like about a 2-inch thick flitch of really, really pretty cherry. And so I could take a piece of cherry and overlay it, just basically veneer it on top of the plastic and end up with a cherry cover. And I wouldn't really have to shape very much. And the thickness of the cherry plus the plastic basically is at exactly the level of the mahogany, so it wouldn't stick up at all. So I think I'm probably going to end up doing that. These covers are cheap anyway, and if I screwed up, I screwed up. And this is actually one piece big enough for both cover the control cavity, and then use the top of it to cover the cavity where the springs and the bottom of the bridge is. So that's going to end up happening. So I've spent a little bit of money on this already. Some gifts from some people, Christmas presents. I got my friend Mike gave me a little gift card to Sweetwater, and so some of this stuff came from Sweetwater. Some of the stuff came from John Mann Music for the bridge components that I needed to have so I could mount that bridge in there. And what else? So I need, like I said, I need tuners. A good set of tuners is a couple $100. I need the electronics. That's not that much. Electronics is $35 or something. So I still have to spend a couple $100 more. I'm going to end up spending probably about $500 on hardware and electronics for this guitar, but I'm going to end up with basically a PRS in the end. So this will be really nice. I'm probably going to wire it weird, just because it's mine and I want to wire it weird. What I'm thinking about doing is interestingly, there's holes here for 3 knobs, right? So I haven't seen another picture of a Paul Reed Smith that only had 3 knobs. Most of them have 4, or they have 2 and a slider. I'm presuming that this is generally would be volume, tone, and a 3-way switch. What I'm going to end up doing, I think, is volume for the neck, volume for the bridge, and tone. So you would have like an infinite variance rather than pick one or pick the other. People are like, oh, you'd never use it that way. You'd never tone it to that, infinite variance of neck and bridge. And yeah, okay, so I just turn them all the way up and down. My guitar, my choice. That's the way I'm going to wire it. The other electric that I have that I kind of hacked on was a Kramer Focus 1000. And when I got it, it only had a volume knob, one volume knob. And now that guitar has, it had a double coil humbucker and a volume knob, no tone, no other switches. So when I got a pair of pickups, I don't know, they were scrap pickups from someplace, I think my friend Ed gave me. So when I wired those up, I put single double split switches, so the pickups are splittable, and I put a phase inversion switch in it, and I put a volume knob and a tone knob. So you can have a really weird variance of settings on that guitar. With the 3 switches, you have 8 different settings, plus you have tone and volume. And I love playing that. It's so much fun. And my former bandmate from Ezekiel's Wheel, Alan Myers, actually liked the guitar so much, and it did such weird tones that he basically made a whole album using it. So it was pretty fun. So we'll do something like that with this, I think. Not exactly sure, but the knobs and pots and stuff and the jacks or whatever are all pretty straightforward. The one thing I do want is I want gold hardware. So rather than buying gold hardware, which is an enormous premium to get gold tuners and stuff like that, I'm going to take and buy a set of nickel tuners and then brass them using a hot torch and brass wheel technique. I've seen it done plenty. My brother knows how to do it. They do it all the time at Baltimore Knife. So we'll get some help there. He just got a CNC lathe, and so one of the things I want to help him learn how to use that CNC lathe, I want to go and design some custom knobs that would get turned on the CNC lathe, and then at least potentially we'll try and figure out whether we can do this or not. Actually use his Rose engine to make Rose engine engraved tops. If you don't know what a ornamental Rose engine is, go look that up. That's a YouTube time sink for you for sure. And make some custom knobs for it. But basically, it would be the whole guitar will end up being brass and mahogany, which is, you know, I want that warm color. It'll be something different. Nobody's got a guitar that will look kind of anything like that. So this is just an intro, and looking forward to finishing this up. Come along for the journey, subscribe, and these videos are probably going to get posted one every couple of weeks. I'm buying hardware as I can afford it, you know, a bit every paycheck. So I've already been, you know, acquiring parts for 6 or 8 weeks for this. So this is the collection of stuff that you see already. I've already spent several weeks, and I've got to buy a set of tools. So I don't have any. I'm buying the nut files from Sweetheart, but I need a set of fret tools. I need a notch straight edge. I need a fret rocker. I need fret files, and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a one-time buy, but that's a couple of $100. The best set I see out there is from Crimson Guitars in England. So that ends up being almost, with shipping and everything else, it'd be exchange rate. That ends up being almost 200 US. So that's going to have to wait for the next paycheck. And the camera that I'm currently using, the tripod has a nice smooth fluid-filled video head, but that fluid, I've had the tripod quite a while now, and I've abused it, left it in the car and some other stuff, and that head is now leaking fluid, so I've got like this sticky hydraulic fluid leaking out of the thing, so I've got to replace that, and that's almost $100. So things will get paced out a little bit. So it could take, the bottom line is there, it could take me quite a while to get all the parts to finish this, but I am going to start on it now. And hopefully I can finish this by, I don't know, maybe end of June, if I stick at it. Like I said, it's largely done, but I do have to afford some tools in order to finish these frets. The frets are nice and straight. You probably, I don't know if I can show you this on the guitar or not on the camera, but if you look down the frets, if you were to look down them, see if I can do this with a flashlight. If I pull my flashlight out, let me try this, and you look down the frets, you can see, probably trying to shine it not quite into the thing, but you can see that those frets are flat, optically at least. So there's no big variance in the neck, and the truss rod nut, I mean, you can see this nut right here, the nut's loose. So the truss rod's loose, and so it's got plenty of adjustment in it, and it doesn't look like it needed. It looks, as far as I can tell, it's completely flat. If I look down across the top of the frets to the light that's up here, it's, you know, I don't see any variance at all. I mean, it looks completely flat. And these, obviously, frets have not been finished, and the edges are rough, so it needs a full fret finishing job, something I've never done, and so I'll be taking advice from doing that work from probably mostly from Crimson Guitars. Ben Crow has got several videos on doing that, and I've been watching him for a while. So this has been sitting up in my recording studio for 15 years, I don't know, quite a while. And I'm looking forward to finishing it. I've kind of got a bug to finish it now, so I'm starting out. So This will be the first, yeah, not the first guitar I've worked on, but the first one I've really done. So follow along, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.